I'd like to talk about what I like about Alexandria and what I hate about it. First, let's start with what I like Alexandria. Obviously, the weather, the temperature, the colors, the fact that it's right by the Mediterranean Sea. So you always have a view of the horizon of the water. So people actually live in apartment buildings right in front of the water. Something that people would actually travel for just so that they have a view of the water. So people in Alexandria could have that view of the water every day. Of course, because they're used to it or they see it every day, they probably take it for granted. They get bored of it. But for tourists or foreigners, it's a great plus. I like the many coffee shops and many restaurants in Alexandria, Egypt with great views. I like that it's very affordable for tourists because of the Egyptian pound. For example, one Canadian dollar equals 14 Egyptian pound. Your Canadian dollar or US dollar goes a long way in Egypt. For example, there's this great place by the water called Casino Shutby, and it's got a rooftop terrace, amazing view. It's considered very, very expensive for Alexandria. So for two people, you could end up spending about a meal and a drink can cost you about 350 Egyptian pounds, tips included, which gives you about $25 for two people, 25 Canadian dollars for two people, for a meal and drink and an amazing view. So nowhere in Canada can you get that kind of price. I like that there's the fact that there's so many people, there's always something to look at or watch. So you don't really get bored when you're walking outside or sitting at a cafe. There's so much action in front of you. I also kind of like the fact that there's not so many rules. People don't really abide by the rules, traffic light and things like that as a tourist. So you can jaywalk no problem. If you rent a car, you can drive the way you want. You don't have to wear a seat belt. You don't have to. You can use your phone while driving. No one's going to stop you. No one's going to do anything. Fruits. I also love fruits in Egypt. Best tasting fruits. The mangoes are delicious. Watermelon, guavas, and it's super, super cheap. I like the fresh juices over there. So the fact that there's a lot of commerce, a lot of little cafes, shops, restaurants. So there's a lot of things to try. And once again, very affordable. There's a Starbucks by the water also. Really nice view. That's another thing I like about Alexandria, Egypt. The malls aren't so great. Nothing special. Kind of small. There's a mall called City Center, Carrefour City Center. That one is acceptable. There's another mall called San Stefano. Seems a little outdated, dark, but still a lot of people, still very active. And there's another mall called Green Plaza. This is an outdoor mall. I find that this one is the least popular out of the three malls. I like that you always hear music outside. Lots of cars, blaster, radio to the max, and no one tells them anything. People enjoy the music. Now, what I don't like about Egypt, sadly, it's the people. People are very hard to deal with, hard to interact with. I find that the people of Alexandria are the reason why the country is in such a mess, why it is so corrupt. Now, it's a big statement to just say the people, but honestly, I stayed there for a year, and that's seriously my point of view, and that's what I've discovered, and that's just the general feeling I got from interacting with people every day. Now, I'm not going to say everyone is the same way, but I would say easily 80% of the people are that way. They tend to blame things on others instead of taking accountability. While I was there, I always felt like I always had to watch my back, and that adds stress on your day. Not knowing who's gonna rip you off today, who's taking advantage of you. You have to be a different person just to survive there, just to live. You're always in attack mode. If you're in defense mode, you're gonna get, without not exaggerating, but you're gonna get eaten up. And people tend to say, "Oh, it's the government, it's the conditions of the country, it's the economy. That's what's making us react this way." But I think at the end of the day, a country is nothing else but its people, but it's the population. It's the people that make the country. And if a country is in that state, it's because of the people. It's people who run the government. So whether the people in the government are corrupt, if you replace these same people by other people in the population, it's going to be the same thing. I find people in Egypt, they feel like they are entitled. They have this sense of entitlement that's not theirs. For example, when you wait in line, or when you go order something and there's a lineup, well, first of all, there is no lineup. People cut in front of everybody. So there's never a lineup. There's just a big bunch of people jammed in a group in front of the cashier, for example. So I don't understand what's wrong with respecting a lineup, respecting priority. First come, first serve. What's wrong with that? Everyone feels like they're entitled to be served first. They're in a hurry, but everyone else is not in a hurry. They have something more important to do afterwards, but the others don't have something more important to do. So this lack of organization or respect of others, you see that in 80% of the people. So little things like that causes, in my opinion, corruption in the country, because this attitude is applied in everything, not just in when you order something or when you wait in line, but it's applied it's applied at work, in schools, on the streets, taxi cabs, for example, taxi drivers, for example. If they know you're a foreigner, you're not from the country, they're gonna definitely try to rip you off. And I'm not gonna say everyone does that, but easily 80% of them do it. And I'm sure Egypt is not the only country, but it's sad to say that my own country does that. And they do it to their own kind. But they're gonna say, oh, the economy's bad, we need money. What's wrong with taking advantage of a foreigner that can afford it? So they don't have that sense of morale. They don't feel bad for doing something wrong. Obviously, the driving is another bad issue in Egypt. That sense of entitlement comes back, where everyone feels like they're in a rush, they're in a hurry, they're entitled to be first. This causes major traffic all the time. People don't know how to merge smoothly. So wherever there's a merging opportunity, it's immediate traffic right away. So a regular 3-lane road becomes 6-lane easily, because if a car sees a bit of an opening, they're gonna jam themselves in that opening without thinking what's gonna happen after they jam themselves in that opening. They just want to fill up the gaps, fill up the holes, but then it causes a major traffic. So this lack of organization, this sense of entitlement, this false sense of entitlement, which is applied in any aspect of life or day-to-day activity, this is what causes a total mess in Egypt. In the words of Zach Galifianakis, it's a mess. When you have something to do, for example, at the DMV or any government-related errand, forget it. Just forget it. Because there is no lineup, it's impossible to get things done. You have to jump over people. You have to cut people in line. And then the workers are very disrespectful. They won't even answer you if they don't feel like it. You'll be right in front of them with a piece of document and they'll just ignore you. And when they finally answer you, they'll send you to another window just to get rid of you. And if they do send you to the right window, there's always a document missing. No one tells you from the beginning what you need to do to avoid going back and forth to several windows. It's like they enjoy. It's like they're going through a power trip. It's like they enjoy being in power, having some authority. Sometimes you have to pay money just to get things done. Sometimes the workers will suggest that they want to get paid if you want your things to get done. I remember I had to do a power of attorney. It took me 3 hours and a half just to get it done. So yeah, it's sad to hear. It's sad to it's more sad to say it, but that's the truth I realized by living there for a year. People say culture and brotherhood and everyone has each other's back, but that's really not the truth. Another thing that bothers me is if two cars get into a fender bender in the middle of the road, they will stop in the middle of the road, block traffic, cause huge traffic, just to get out and make a huge scene and argue and yell. And it's something really small, absolutely not worth it. It's obvious that they're exaggerating, but why don't they have the common sense to just go on the side to avoid causing traffic for others? It's like they want others to participate in their dilemma, in their little problem, in their fender bender. And if you dare to approach them and just tell them to move on the side, they'll start yelling at you and attacking you just to cover up their mistake. So I find they tend to over dramatize things, and I think the only way to fix this is start with education and upbringing in the homes. Anything else is not going to fix the problem. Anything else is not going to fix Egypt. And if you just look at the Egyptian pound, it's been dropping year after year, and I don't think it's getting any better. And it's not because of the economy or the government or anything like that. It's because of the people. And the people, they're available, they're everywhere. People are in the government, the people are on the streets, the people are at the banks, the people are at work, in schools, the teachers, the principals. I mean, the fact that parents can't even send their children to good schools because the parents will get interviewed by the school regarding their social status and income and where they live, just to see if they can accept the kid or not. So I think if people treat each other this way, there is absolutely no future. If someone's dying and goes and rushes to a hospital, if you don't pay up front, they're not going to admit you. So that has nothing to do with the government, because these are private hospitals. So this is people versus people. This is interaction between people. Instead of, like, how can you see someone dying and just say no because they're not going to pay or they don't have the means to pay? I mean, common sense or human decency says human decency is going to make you treat the person and then bill the person for what they owe. And then if they don't pay, then you could take them to court, or then they'll go to jail. But just to watch someone die or refuse to treat someone just because they can't pay, the fact that you're capable of refusing that treatment, that says that there's a problem with the people. So I don't want to get into any more details. There's so much I can say. But yeah, so just to conclude, for tourists, foreigners, Alexandria is great to visit. Great coffee shops, great restaurants, very affordable, great views. Food isn't amazing, but for the views, it's worth it. I mean, I personally don't like museums and historical things, but if you do, there are some things to visit. I would say for a tourist or a foreigner, try to attend weddings, try to crash a wedding. In Alexandria, you'll definitely enjoy it. Take a walk on take a walk by the shore. You'll enjoy the fresh air, the weather and the views. But definitely don't give it more than 10 days. The best place now to visit in Egypt is Sharm el-Sheikh Resorts. Now that's an amazing place. I'll make a video about it. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comments below. I'm open to all feedback. If you want to share if you've been to Alexandria and you want to share your experience, leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to visit my website, shehabsblog.com. Link will be available below. And if you want to book a hotel in Alexandria, I definitely suggest Tulip. I don't know how it's pronounced, but Tulip Hotel in Alexandria is definitely the best in terms of price and quality and cleanliness and location. I'll provide a link below. Thanks for watching. So definitely some places to visit in Alexandria. Number one for me would be Casino Shutby. It's a place by the sea, by the Mediterranean Sea. It's actually on the sea, and it's got many restaurants and cafes, but it's got a rooftop terrace with an amazing view. Monteza Beach also, great touristic area, nice nice on the eyes. Lots of pictures to take. I would say the Starbucks in San Stefano, Starbucks by San Stefano area, great view. Alexandria Library also has some nice cafes with great views also. The Mancheya Souk or Bazaar or Market. So if you like to shop and you're not afraid to negotiate, or if you're not annoyed, if you don't get annoyed by big crowds and people pushing you, then definitely the Mancheya Market. Carrefour City Center Mall, and across from Carrefour City Center Mall you have the downtown, which is a bunch of restaurants and receptions for weddings and cafes. It's a nice area. And of course Stanley Bridge, definitely a must visit, must take pictures over there, and any cafe overlooking Stanley Bridge. Personally, I like to walk. So for those who like to walk, definitely walk by the sea. Walk in the Mancheya Market and walk in Ramla Station. And finally, my favorite cafe in Alexandria is Latino Cafe. A place called Latino Cafe. It's also by the sea. Amazing view. And the food is actually pretty good and priced even better. So that's definitely a must visit over there. I could spend my whole trip every day on my laptop just sitting there.